I don't even remember how to work all this. All right, guys, welcome to another edition of Texans Unfiltered. I am your host, Young Ari Gold, and I am joined by Mr. Storm, aka Patrick Storm, on this wonderful Tuesday evening. Patty, what up?
What's up, man? Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Thanks. It's nice. It's nice to have a welcoming, like, be welcomed back.
Yeah.
How's life? I mean, I know we text, so I guess technically I know how your life is, but maybe other people don't know how your life is. How's your life?
It's great.
Yeah.
I think it's
What's so great
awesome.
right now? Highlight the best thing that's going on in Patrick Storm's life right now.
We have select ball tryouts this weekend, so we're back to baseball, and he's more into it than ever. And he's had baseball camp every single day almost this summer, and so it's just been nonstop. He's exhausted, but he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want to stop practicing. He doesn't want to stop getting better. So it's really cool to have a 7-year-old that's that dedicated to something, that it has that big of a passion for it.
Yeah,
and just wants to do his best every day. So
you raised a good kid. That's
I'm trying my best, man. Trying my best.
One thing I've realized with like having a 19-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 9-year-old on Thursday, he'll be 9, is that all you can do is try, bro. It's really all you can do. Like at the end of the day, when they're out in the world, like if they end up being decent human beings and are respectful and have drive, like outside of that, like they're going to make their choices. There's nothing you can do. You could try to guide them, but they're going to end up doing what they think is best for them. But if you did those 3 things, you succeeded as a parent, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Cool. New in my life, I picked up golfing 4 months ago. I don't know when the last time I was on here. I golf now 3 to 4 times a week. I've gotten extremely good, and I fucking love playing golf, and I want to play every day. So that's what I'm working towards, is early retirement so I can play every day.
That's crazy. How do you find time for 3 to 4 times a week?
Can't say on here because it wouldn't do well for my employment, but no, you just, there's Saturday and Sundays, and then 5 o'clock tee times, and just go out and have fun. I bought a $3,000 pair of Callaways. I got fitted. I don't know, bro. I make time for it.
That's awesome, dude. I truly wish I could play way more golf than I do. I just don't have the time. I really don't. So
I just love it so much that it's like, to be honest with you, and I probably shouldn't say this here, but it's kind of replaced Texans Unfiltered for me. Like, not that I don't care. I do care. But like in this like break thing, that whatever it is, like it's kind of giving me that like time away to just me time. And I have like a foursome. Like I have a great foursome. So like we all play 3 or 4 times a week. We play 3 putt, and if you putt more than twice on the green, you're taking a shot of Fireball. So by hole 9 and 10, everybody's gone. And I don't know, it's just fun. I just have a blast. I really do. I think it's I wish I would have found golf. I used to play, but never really played, but now I like play, like memberships and all that stuff. But it's fun. I love it. So that's what's new with me. That's about it. I haven't been reading anything Texans related. I'll hop on the Twitter timeline occasionally and just see. Actually, I'm always reading, but I never put anything out. But if I see my boys getting slandered, I'll hop on. If I see something stupid, then I'll quote it. But outside of that, there's nothing new. And then for me, like I just like this is like really that dead period of football. Like OTAs, break, training camp. Like there's just nothing that can really happen. Like, sure, there could be a surprise cut or a surprise arrest, but really outside of that, I mean, we can just speculate for like 6 weeks.
Yeah. So let's talk about the arrest real quick. Hold on. So,
yep. What arrest?
Was it well, I guess he's a former player, but PJ Walker got arrested, right?
PJ Walker got arrested?
Or not PJ Walker,
PJ
PJ Hall. Sorry, PJ Hall got arrested for being in an altercation of some sort recently. And now, as you know, that's the second of such instances. He was involved in one earlier on in the season. Was it after week 1? I think it was.
Yeah, it was exactly like right after week 1.
Right after week 1. Yeah, because they had the Thursday night game and it was like Saturday or Sunday or something like that. And he was involved in an altercation at a bar, peak COVID. And the team knew about it. The league knew about it. Nothing ever happened. So that was kind of weird, but just kind of shows the type of guy that he was. He's just not putting his best foot forward to become, to get any better. That was part of the reason why he was let go from Oakland too. So, I think it's probably best that they didn't retain his services this season.
Yeah, and what happened with Mingo? I saw he's like, but what did he do? I just saw child indecency. Has there been like a report where we know what was done?
Nope. And I just, as far as I see that type of a title, and it's just like, I don't care. Like anything with a child, man, you're a piece, you're the lowest scum on this earth. And
agreed.
Lock them up, throw away the key, take them out behind the courthouse, but
I always wonder, like, I find like criminal cases very interesting. So like, while the details are never enjoyable to read, especially when a child is involved, I always wonder what, because like child indecency could be, he was on a run training and he went pee by a bush and he happened to be by a school and the kids walked by and boom, child indecency. So, I just wonder what it actually was.
Yeah, I haven't read on it. I just saw the headlines and, I guess you're right. Maybe we should find out more details because it could have been something super innocent that he didn't, obviously mean. But
I only know that because literally it happened. Like me and a buddy were running when I was like 20, and he literally did that, and a cop came out of nowhere and like boom, child indecency. Like he had a record.
Really,
he's registered as an offender. Like all that.
Let's see.
So, but yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to see kind of two ex-Texans in the news in that regard. All right, so the meat and potatoes. I think everybody just really wants to know. The real question is, what is happening with Deshaun? I've seen a lot of Easter bee chatter this week on the timeline. I don't know what it's about, but it looks like people are like starting to turn back, like do a 180 on Easter bee recently.
Yeah,
it seems that way at least.
I feel like a lot of people are trying to come to this conclusion that maybe he was the victim of like, I don't know, just a lot of blame for stuff that he didn't have a part in, which we know is far from the truth. I mean, you could talk to anybody that's, you read the SI articles and that tells you all you need to know, that he's been blamed for a lot of things. And now there's a lot of people that are trying to say that, maybe he wasn't guilty of those things, which, man, I mean, it's his name is linked to this stuff way too many times to be, not have a hand in what was happening. So
yeah,
I still think that I don't understand how he's still with the organization. I don't still understand how he has a job, how he got a promotion, all that stuff. I
don't know. It's interesting because, like, you're right. Like, there's definitely, we all know he played a part in some form or fashion with, whether it be DeAndre Hopkins or backstabbing Bill O'Brien or getting Nick Caserio instead of the guy from Pittsburgh, to, the stuff with Deshaun and the massage tables being, borrowed by Deshaun and following players and things of that nature. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if, like, is it possible that Easterby can reinvigorate Deshaun Watson's image though? Like, is he going to be able to do what he's actually supposed to do?
I mean, it takes two sides to tango at that point, right?
Right.
Deshaun's got to be willing to come to the table and see, what Jack can do to help him out. Deshaun's people have to be willing to come to the table also. And I think that Jack, I don't know, I wouldn't say that Jack wouldn't be willing to. I think he would.
I do too.
because I think that deep down inside, Jack is a good person and he means well. But again, I've said this before. I think he means well in everything that he does. And he believes that he's doing the right thing, and I think that he would be, he believe in his heart that he's doing the right thing by trying to help reestablish that image for Deshaun, and it would help the team, right? All in all, it would help the team, right? Because the team is absolutely 100% better with Deshaun on the roster, because Deshaun, the football player, is very talented. So I think, I think Jack could be that guy. I mean, he was brought to New England when they had their issues going on over there. He was involved in KC when they had some stuff going on there not long ago. I mean, that just seems to be his niche, is to be that guy that when there's turmoil, that that's the shoulder they lean on. So maybe.
Well, and also I'm trying to think of it from like both perspectives, right? So you have Deshaun, who has his stuff going on, and he's gonna need an image rebuild, and then you have Easterby, who is also in need of an image rebuild, and like if you put the two together, you technically have really what you would prefer to have, which would be both coming out on top and the organization moving on in a way that nobody really expected to be the case, right? Like if Easterby is able to be this whisperer of turmoil and issues, and is able to get the most out of people and their character, like what a test to do it. But then ultimately, like, you're talking about saving a franchise because you're able to find a way to get a top 5 quarterback who is not wanting to be a part of your franchise in the future back under the umbrella of the organization, to be able to kind of right his wrong, and then Easterby right his wrong as well. I don't know. It's like literally like the perfect solution, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it could help both of them, right? Because,
Right.
like you said, Jack's got all this negative opinion about him in Houston and everything like that, and this negative stigma. And then obviously we know all the stuff going on with Deshaun. So, yeah, maybe they could be the perfect tandem to revitalize each other's careers, and establish an image that's good for the both of them. So,
Yeah, I don't know.
you might
I
be
mean,
onto something there.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that it seems like that there's a possibility of a path of that, like that being the path. If you just kind of look at where the situations are for both individuals. Um, I don't know anything. I'm just speculating, pure speculation and opinion. But I feel like that would make the most sense. But on top of it making the most sense, it would also be in the best interest of the organization to actually go about it in that manner.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So just interesting. It was something I was thinking about. But let's also get to, I guess, we are what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from training camp.
July
When it
25th.
July? Oh, so we're 2 weeks
So
away
12
from.
days. Yeah, just under 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay. So we're 12 days away from training camp. Um, and really, like, I think the only thing that really matters to anybody, specifically fans, is will Deshaun Watson be at training camp? And this conversation is going to be pure speculation. So if you guys all try to hammer Pat on Twitter, or you guys all want to say Pat said something that he didn't say, understand that it's speculation. Like, don't be a troll, don't be an asshole, don't be an idiot. Just take the entertainment for what it is. It's a conversation that is being had. I'll start, Pat. I do think he'll be there at training camp. Um, for really one reason, and it's to start to spin and build what is needed to rebuild his credibility as a human being. But then on top of that, to also be able to build his credibility as a football player. A lot of what's been talked about this offseason has had nothing to do with on the field. Everything has been to talk about off the field. And one thing that does truly cure all is winning. And Deshaun Watson under center for the Texans with this roster, I think, is a potential AFC South winner, maybe wild card, with Deshaun Watson under center. And I think if you want to do that and you want to spin all the media that's going on and everything about the cases, I mean, it's not until February when the cases actually are underway. So, like, this really gives him time to kind of get back into the image that he built over the years prior to this offseason, where he is that good guy. He is that great football player. He is that team oriented guy. He is the leader. He is the guy that wants to win and bring a championship to Houston. And I think the only way that he can really honestly rebuild his image is by suiting up for the Texans. At this point, I don't see a way where his image can be rebuilt, even playing for another team. I mean, obviously winning a Super Bowl and things of that nature, but I think the easiest path to rebuilding his image is going to be suiting up for the Texans, water under the bridge, and just go out there and ball. So I do think he'll be there.
I just don't think the league can let him be there.
Yeah.
I think it's too much the media circus that would surround it, right? The league would get crucified, the team would get crucified. I mean, I don't know, it's way too much to and then you got to think about the other guys too, right? Like there's 91 or 89 other guys there on the roster that would have to deal with that too, right? Like it would be, and I know
won't they deal with it anyways?
Just because of the media, like the amount of media that would be there, you would have press outside of training camp on Kirby, drumming up, it'd be a story every freaking day. And then the NFL would have to take that, that heat for allowing somebody with those type of allegations to be, not suspended and I know the league's doing their investigation and stuff like that. So, I get it. They're doing their due diligence. But you look at what the MLB did with Trevor Bauer. He's got one case and he's been put on administrative leave and has not been able to, show up, and all his merchandise has been taken off of the team's website and is no longer for sale online. The team has completely distanced themselves from him. And so I think that would be the best thing to do right now for the Texans. And they've kind of already started that. Right. Like you don't hear Nick talk about him by name in a press conference. Culley doesn't talk to him, mention him by name. The media does a lot, but I think the best thing would be for him to not show up. And I understand, there's no criminal case yet, or there might not be, but I don't know, man. I think it's way too much of a potential media circus surrounding him to have him at training camp, at least.
Well, see, and I think that I guess, so I always try to think bigger picture, and if there is a path to reconciliation, no matter what or when that happens, that media circus is going to be there, right? If he does it at training camp, it'll be there. If he does it week one, they're going to be there. If it goes into next offseason at a press conference, they're going to be there. At the end of the day, the media is going to be there no matter when it happens. And so it's okay, well, if he does want to rebuild and he does want to go into if he comes on, has a great season and good things happen, who else is better to have in your corner when you're facing these allegations more than Cal McNair, right? David is very powerful, but in this situation, David's hands are pretty much tied with how he can handle and what he can say when it comes to the cases. But Cal and his ability to do things backdoor and behind closed doors and not really be out in the media to talk about it, it gives the ability, Cal's already tried to shut it down once.
Mm-hmm.
So if Cal tried to shut it down once, there's no reason to think that Cal doesn't have the ability to be able to try to do it again. David, on the other hand, he can't interact with Busby because Busby is going to take anything that David says and he's going to throw it out in the media. Any email, any conversation, no matter what happens, anything that comes from Athletes First or anything from Deshaun's party is going to be an Instagram or Facebook post. We've seen it. We know that's how he works. But Cal, on the other hand, is kind of like that middle mediator. So I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't think there's a perfect situation, but I'm one of those people that like rip the Band-Aid off. Like, let's get it out of the way now, because we're gonna face it no matter what, and who knows what else we could be potentially facing at that time. So let's knock this out and move forward, and then we'll take everything else that comes our way.
Yeah, I mean, wilder things have happened in the NFL, or in sports in general. So I guess I kind of see what you're saying. And I think that's maybe the way the league is taking it too. Like, we haven't seen the league make any take any action yet, right? Other than opening up their investigation, which they needed to do. And it's only right, regardless of whether he's innocent or guilty. They needed to have some sort of investigation and do their due diligence to make sure that one of their employees was acting right. And I don't know. I just think the way that the MLB has handled the Trevor Bauer thing just like screams to me like that they want to be politically correct, and I don't think we've ever seen the NFL be politically correct, specifically Roger Goodell, when it comes to things like that, or comes to things like this. We saw that with Zeke. We've seen it with Roethlisberger and other guys in the past. Guys have countlessly got chance after chance after chance. So, who knows? We may see something happen week 3, week 4, if as more information, if it does come to light, comes out, and so.
Yeah. Do you find it weird that he has not been placed on the exempt list? Does that say anything to you about the actual lawsuits? To you, the fact that it has not been announced?
Not so much the lawsuits, but just how the league's going to handle it. I think if the league really wanted to make a statement, they would have already done it. I think they would have already put him on the exempt list.
Yep.
But then again, they're in a weird predicament now because of, I think, when they've got to weigh the idea of, okay, well, he requested a trade, and maybe the team was potentially going to trade him, and now we put on the exempt list, and now they're stuck with all the salary and this and that. I don't know. I think there's just a lot of moving parts to it, and I think maybe they've just got to make sure they handle it perfectly. But I definitely agree that him not being on the list right now tells me that they're in no hurry at all. They see no reason to rush this.
Well, and I also think, like, when I look at the Bauer situation and compare it to Deshaun, like, the Bauer situation provided pictures of a beaten woman and everything else that really kind of happened, compared to and basically evidence that it was Bauer, compared to at this point, whether no matter where we lean, guilty, innocent, doesn't matter. Take the opinion out. At this point, they are only allegations, and there is zero proof of any wrongdoing on Deshaun's part. And so we've seen how the NFL reacts in the sense of like videos, pictures, things like that always makes them ramp up and like move forward a lot faster and have a much stronger hand. But God, Ray Rice, like, until the video came out, there was nothing, right? And then the video comes and it's like, oh yeah, you're pretty much banned from the NFL. Like, at this point, there's been no videos of Deshaun and misconduct with these women, no sexual abuse. There's been no like videos of him, showing his cock on whatever. Like, there's just like no evidence or video or photos of anything. It's really at this point just a he said she said. And I don't know if we've ever really seen a case on this level really come up in the NFL. Like, if you look at Roethlisberger, like, Roethlisberger raped a woman in the bathroom stall. Like, he just, was smart and did what he needed to do to clear his name, technically, settle. Like Ray Rice, like I don't know. It's all a bit strange because I don't think, while we've never seen a case like this in the sense of like 22 allegations, we've also never seen a case where it's truly a he said, she said.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other part to it. Really, it's just he said, she said, nothing else.
Yeah, and I get it. There's the text messages and Instagram messages or whatever and stuff like that, but that that's hard to interpret and at least in my opinion, it's hard to interpret the emotion behind things and stuff like that. So it's a really just shitty situation, and I'm ready for it to be over. I'm glad it's been quiet for a few weeks where we haven't really heard much about it. It's just a lot of people asking, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? But I mean, deposition's not scheduled till February 2022, so
yeah,
it's going to be a while.
Yeah, I've been watching. I just started watching Suits about 4 weeks ago, so I'm pretty well versed now in the legal system and the way things work. I'm thinking about changing my name to Harvey Specter instead of Young Ari Gold.
Yeah,
and I think
you're more of a Mike though.
Oh, that's very analytical. Like I'm not, like Mike's very like analytically driven and can kind of like, I don't know. Like I'm a doer. I'll get shit done. So I would agree in that sense. But I'm also more like in negotiations and like conversations. I'm definitely more Harvey in the sense of like assertive, like get done what I need to get done. There's really no negotiating. Mike's kind of a softie, but I'm also only on season 3. So
I love that show, man. I'm so sad that it's over. I'm so sad. No, I'm not going to get into it, but I don't want to ruin anything for you. It's a really good show.
Yeah, so I'm at the point. I'm in whatever season where Mike left and is now at the investment banker company.
Okay. Yeah.
That I just started that last night.
Okay.
Does it get better? I mean, because it's really good now.
Yeah, it just stays good in my opinion. It stays really good. Yeah, it's not like one of these shows where it just like falls off a cliff.
Oh, good. So. Okay, good. Well, yeah. So I mean, I guess like really. So with all of that said, it's he said, she said. I don't know if he can be put on the exempt list based on those merits alone, and I think that's ultimately what I think the NFL is waiting, because I think they're scared to set a precedence of putting a player on an exempt list in a situation where it really is a he said, she said. With no facts and no evidence, I think it puts Roger Goodell and the NFL in kind of a weird situation, to the point to where, like, if they put Deshaun on the exempt list now, like if other situations come up, well, it can be used as something that has happened in the past, and then it kind of becomes a snowball at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, Roger Goodell he technically has zero boundaries when it comes to the exempt list. Like that's his baby. He can do whatever he wants with it, and he can use it however he wants it. He can enforce it however he wants it. So I think it's I don't know. That's a tough one. But again, like I said, I think if they were going to do it, I think they would have already done it.
That's what I keep going back to that. Like, the reason why I don't think he'll be put on the exempt list is because, like you said, this is a dead period. Like, we haven't heard anything new. Like, there's been no new evidence, nothing new. All we know is February 22nd. So, like, if they were going to do it, like, this would have been done 2 months ago, because there's been nothing new brought up since. So why within the next 12 days would they do it? It doesn't really make sense for them to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, the team technically can't ask them to do it.
No.
Although,
and I don't think they would want them to, because they're
on the hook. Yeah, they're on the hook for the full salary.
Right.
So, and then they can't trade them too. Like if they have somebody that just comes knocking down their door with a massive offer a week before training camp or the first week of training camp, start a training camp and Tua gets hurt, or start a training camp and Sam Darnold gets hurt, or just somebody, one of these teams that has been linked to him multiple times, and their starting quarterback goes down with a major injury, is going to miss the season.
Yeah, or like week before the trade deadline, Miami is 8-1 and Tua goes down. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just it's interesting when you kind of look at it from like a holistic point of view. Like there's so many different moving parts, but the one thing I keep coming back to is that the exempt list hasn't happened, and unless tomorrow or before training camp starts, there's like something released, then I don't see why they would do it ultimately.
Yeah. And just by the social media activity surrounding him and his group, whether it be Quincy or David or Bernie or any of those guys, they're, they're carrying on like it's business as normal right now. Deshaun was just at that camp over the weekend with a ton of other players, all of other David's other clients and stuff like that. Or I say David's other clients, Athletes First other clients. And he's been working out and he's posting workout videos. He's he posted the kid at Clemson wearing his jersey. He's posting with Jilly again. So it's kind of like they're carrying on, and they're like almost in my eyes that they feel like that they're just going to roll into the season like it's business as usual. So
let me ask you this: let's say he does, and let's say there's no suspension, and deposition is in February, and the league doesn't do anything. What are the expectations for this team if Deshaun is actually here?
God, it's so hard because there's so many new people.
Right. A lot of unknowns. But
it's just way too many.
I think that this team, just from outside looking in, without seeing any film and no position battles in training camp, I think the roster is more talented now than it was last year.
In a sense, yeah. I mean, I think the defense took a little bit of a hit in some spots.
I think they took a couple more. Like they got better corners.
Oh yeah. No, I was about to say that. They took some hits on the defensive line. Obviously losing JJ regardless of all the stuff with him, but you lost one of the best defensive linemen ever to play the game now, and you've replaced him with Shaq Lawson and a few other guys. So I think you've got some. You got to really hope that group can hold it together this year, because last year was it was Swiss cheese up there, man. Anybody could run through there. Everybody was Derrick Henry against them.
Yeah.
But so with Deshaun,
is this team a playoff team with Deshaun?
With the expanded playoffs, I think they might. I mean, they could go 8-9, 9-8, and just be that just over the cuff, just under 5. Because it's hard to say. Like the expanded playoffs, you could be 8-9 now and make the playoffs. I feel like as a wild card. I think without him, I don't think they win 4 games again.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth with that. Like the league is so weird. Like they could win 4 or 5, maybe even 6 games without Deshaun, just based on all the shit that happens in an NFL season. Like we know 1 or 2 quarterbacks are going to go out. We know, star defensive players are going to go out. Like we just know these are the things that happen. We know a team that is supposed to be good will not be. Like that happens every year. So like we know, so it's like there's an opportunity for the Texans to win just because of the way the NFL works, but I don't think it'll be purely based on talent, if that makes any sense.
I mean, I agree. But there's whether I get it. There's not a lot of flashy names on this roster, but there's talent.
Yeah.
And I think there's more talent than they've had in years past. There's a lot more depth. And I think that's what's going to help them. And I think that can help carry them through the season, is that there's actual depth now at multiple positions that they were lacking it for years. So, I mean, obviously there's still some guys on the roster like Vernon Hargreaves and that I don't understand how he's still employed in the NFL, but that's why guys like Nick Caserio have the job that they do.
Yeah, I think Vernon as like your 5th or 6th best corner. Like if we look at like the depth chart in like the last 2 years when he's been here, and then we look where he's actually at, but then look at the injuries and where he ends up having to play. Like it's so unfair. It's like he's always listed as like the 5th or 6th corner, but then injuries happen and he becomes corner number 2, and then we all are mad that he doesn't play at corner number 2 potential, when it's like in reality we should actually be okay because he was never supposed to be our number 2. Like if he comes in and plays 5 snaps, I think he can do fine with 5 snaps. I definitely don't think he should be in every down corner. But like when I look at the secondary in general, like I feel like the secondary is in a much better spot. Like with Desmond King there, John Reed in his 2nd year, Bradley Roby. Like I think they're in a much better position. And then I actually think the defensive line is better this year than they were last year.
You think so?
I do. I do. I know JJ is the comfort for everybody in Houston, and he's a somewhat of a god in the city. But his freelancing and the things that he does on defense really handicaps the rest of the defensive line, and
Mhm.
it puts them all in a bad position to where they really can't do their job. So you have two or three guys that are not capable of doing their job because of what JJ is doing on the D line. I don't expect them to like be the sack masters or anything like that, but I expect consistency from the defensive line, which to me last year was really the biggest thing that was missing was a lack of consistency. So while we're not going to have star players that are going to, I don't expect a Menahue to have a 12 sack season. Maybe Lawson will be our best pass rusher. Maybe Blacklock puts it together, but I think they have a good enough defensive line right now to consistently put out a better product, which in the long run will make them a better defense, if that
Yeah,
also makes sense.
yeah. I mean, you got Charles is coming into his third year now. Jacob Martin's
Yeah.
still here.
Yep.
Jaleel Johnson, Jordan Jenkins, Malik Collins. I mean, so there's some veteran guys in there, right? You got Shaq's in his 6th year, Jaleel's in his 5th year, Jordan's in his 6th year, Dunn's in his 6th, Malik's in his 6th. So you've got some guys that have been around been in the league for a while, and they know what's expected of them. They know what it takes to win a ball game. So yeah,
Yeah, and when you look at all of them, like even like okay, so you can't expect like Malik Collins to be great and Shaq Lawson to be great, and the other additions to be great, but you have to expect that at least one or two guys are going to be better than what was expected because we're talking about guys who actually have played good football in the NFL. Like these aren't guys that we're hoping can put it together. These are guys that have done fine. They're not
mm-hmm.
superstars, but they are average to above average players. And like, I don't see a reason why this defensive line should take a step back. I think if anything, they may be middle of the road, but they'll be consistently middle of the road. And then when you add the fact that you have a much better secondary, you don't have the defense of play calling that we had last year. Like, like as all of that mixed together, it's like this defense should be better. It should be
Yeah,
better.
yeah, I agree. I really do. And like I said, the depth is there, right? Like they've got
Yep.
way more guys that know what's expected of them that can go out there and put it together. I think the one thing that this team and this fan base has come to expect every year is they've always had that one superstar, right? Like we started off, we had Andre, and then we had Arian, JJ, Clowney gets drafted. Whitney had I'm not going to call Whitney a super. I don't want to dog on him, but he had a double-digit sack season. You had Brian Cushing. You've always had that superstar, right? And they've always counted that on that guy to be the one to put him over the hump. Hopkins, Watson now. And so I feel like now they're not reliant on a superstar. They're reliant on guys that know how to get the job done. Yeah, they're not going to execute it, and they're not going to put up 22 and a half sacks in a season or, 10 interceptions or, 15 touchdowns and 1,500 receiving yards. But, if you can get three or four of your three wide receivers to put up 800 plus yards, a couple of defensive linemen getting 5, 6, 7 sacks, 3, 4 picks sprinkled in the secondary per guy, you have a decent shot to have a decent team. So, but that could also be a bad thing, right? Like
Yeah,
this
no,
team
it could.
they could win just too many games to put them out
Yeah.
of contention to get a stud coming in into the draft next year. But then again, the draft is a whole nother beast, and so
You address that when you get there, but I think ultimately, oh man, totally forgot what I was going to say. I was thinking about it when you were talking, and now I just lost it. It was a really good point.
if it was that good, it'll come back to you.
It was a really good point, but and I'm trying to think of what it was even about. Not defense, not offense. I don't know.
Coaching?
Anyways, no, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
you brought up the point of the defensive play calling last year.
Oh, I'm sorry. Um, so like John for the last 5 years has been screaming that this roster, and he's 100% right. This roster has always had. It kind of goes to what you were saying, has always had the superstars,
Hmm.
right? Whether it be on defense or it be on offense, either way, there's a superstar there to hold down the ship. And you might have a couple, but you don't have any depth, and so therefore the lack of depth would hurt you at times because you were relying on the superstars to be superstars, but then surrounded them with very, very mid-level players. So now it's like if you have above average players and you have a ton of depth, right? Like the 30 linebackers we signed, um, that's what you like. That's how you build a roster. That's how you're going to build consistency and have a good roster. And me and John talked about it with free agency. Like none of these guys that were signed in free agency are going to be like you didn't sign them expecting them to be superstars. But what you did sign him to be is a potential star in some capacity at all. Like Desmond King has shown the ability to be a very, very good corner. He just needs to put it together consistently. And if that happens and you sign him long term, you won a part of free agency because you were able to add a key piece to your roster. And anything else that's happened also on um, whether it be on the offensive side of the ball, Philip Lindsay, right? You signed him for an extremely cheap deal. He's an extremely young running back who has a ton of versatility. If he ends up playing well and is worth signing to another 2-year deal, that's awesome. You just have another building block. So, like, if you look at the way that the free agency was constructed and the way that the roster is being constructed, you have a couple guys on both sides of the ball that could potentially play a part and be building blocks to a faster rebuild, and give you the ammunition needed to where when you address your needs in the draft next year, you're actually in a much better position. Of course, all of this comes back to the number 4, but with 4 and these potential building blocks, you are in a much better position than you thought you were in.
Yeah, I agree. I think we hit on that a couple weeks ago, um, talking about like it's just coming into free agency. Nick had said that it wasn't about hitting home runs; it was about hitting doubles and singles, um, and he did that. Getting guys like Philip Lindsay and Desmond King and Shaq Lawson, and retaining guys like Zach Cunningham and Bradley Roby. You've built yourself a really good foundation to where you're not having to completely tear this team apart in order for it to be competitive in the near future. So I think that was an important thing that they did. And I think they did I think Nick and the guys over there, Liffert and Bazrigan, I think those guys just absolutely killed free agency this year. I know they get a lot of heat for signing all these guys and they've had like 80 roster moves and all this stuff, but it was needed. I mean, you got a 90-man roster you're carrying into camp. You're going to sign a bunch of guys. You're not going to retain all the talent, all the guys that you had the year before. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts, and I think that they did an absolute amazing job of building a solid foundation moving forward.
Yeah, and I also wonder, like, you have to wonder, like, how, like, was this roster built with in mind that, or with Deshaun being under center, or was this roster built to like, okay, this guy's going to be gone at some point. This gives us the opportunity to find a couple diamonds in the rough, and then we'll address the quarterback position later. But either way, no matter how it works out, the roster is in a better position than where it was last year. I truly believe that this roster is better. Take 4 out of the equation. Just the roster itself is better constructed this year than it was last year.
I agree.
And I think a lot of people, because of everything that's happened and all the negative news cycles and the Easter B saga and the Deshaun saga and, hiring David Coley and things of that nature, I think people are kind of not looking at the football perspective, and they're buying into the drama of the Texans, and therefore it puts a bigger negative spin on the way that the roster is and the way that the team should play. But I think it's honestly, I think it's a lot easier to shit on the Texans than it is to actually try to like dig deep into the roster, look and see what's going on, and see what path could potentially lead to success. I think that's a much harder job than just piling on to all the news cycles and every single article and all the things that we've seen. Like it's a lot harder to actually dive in and say this team might actually be better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Negativity sells, man.
Always.
And that's that's why headlines and stuff like that are always in that kind of that in that form and in that mindset, because it when you see something negative, for whatever reason the human mind just tends to gravitate towards it. And then when a media member or a writer or somebody like that is optimistic or positive, they get called
a homer
or just all sorts of stuff, and then it just doesn't sell. So it's easier to be neutral or negative than it is to be optimistic or positive.
Yeah, I agree. All right. 45 minutes. I actually expected this to be 30 minutes, but I'll take it. This was actually a really good pod. Patty, did you ever get an answer?
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Okay. It didn't happen.
It did not happen.
And it's not going to happen.
Did not get an answer to that.
Okay. But he did answer.
Yes.
That's great. Okay, so David Culley did not meet with Deshaun Watson this last Friday.
Correct.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Don't know if he's going to meet with him this Friday. But I just know that he did not meet with him this past Friday.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. A little storm breaker. That should be the thing, by the way. It should be Stormbreaker. Like that. That's what, like, when you have news, we should get like a storm like audio clip that plays, and then all of a sudden you just pop in and you're like, boom. All right. Outside of that, Storm, what else we got? Anything else you want to cover? Anything else that we didn't talk about? Anything you want to ask me? Anything you want the listeners to ask? This is your time to shine.
I mean, if they've got questions, they can definitely answer them. Or they can ask
answer their own questions.
Yeah, they can answer their own questions.
Good job, guys.
Great stream. No, I mean, they could definitely ask them, and I'll be more than happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Hopefully, keep the Reddit trolls off my back. But the Stormbreaker thing, that makes me laugh, because that's part of what Noah's PlayStation what is it, gamer tag or whatever it is.
Oh, really?
It's Stormbreaker, yeah. So don't ask me how he came up with it. Don't have no idea how he came up with it.
I do,
but he did. So
I do know how.
How?
It's from Endgame in Avengers. That's what Thor's name of his new axe was.
No way, no shot.
How much you want to bet?
And you know what? You're probably right, because he has seen every single one.
There you go.
Like him and my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law will literally take him to the opening night of all the shows. They just
the fact that I know your kid more than you is very like this is the thing. Do we need to have another conversation?
I just don't know Marvel. I don't know Marvel like you do.
No, that's true. Not many people do, so it's fine. But yeah, if I had to bet, that's where Stormbreaker came from.
I'm gonna ask him. He's not home right now. I'm about to go pick them up. They're at my in-laws. I'm about to go pick them up.
Okay, wait. Yeah, hold on. There's something about Joe Brady. Why is there a question about Joe Brady?
Because of the other night. So if it's true that Caserio wanted Joe Brady and would settle for Culley, would Caserio fire Culley in 1 year for someone like Lincoln Riley combined with Spencer Rattler?
I think he actually answered his own question.
Yeah. Anything.
I think it'd be Brady.
No, Lincoln. Yeah, you wouldn't hire Lincoln Riley. You would hire Joe Brady, but it wasn't Nick that off the jump wanted Joe Brady. It was Jack. So that was the direction they were heading. But then they hired Nick, and the tides turned.
If they would have just hired me to be the consulting firm, I would have easily grabbed them Joe Brady. The search would have been over within the matter of like 21 minutes, and it would have been over. Joe Brady would have been the best hire that they could have had.
Absolutely.
Interesting. All right. A clip of Halle Berry's eyes turning white.
So like just straight up rip off. That would be X-Men though, right? Because she was Storm.
Expectations for the O-line. I'll take that one. I actually think the O-line is going to be a lot better. Um, I know there's this whole thing going on with Marcus Cannon and everybody concerned. Where is he going to play compared to Titus and all this other stuff? Honestly, I don't care. I don't care where Titus plays. I don't care where Marcus Cannon plays. If Titus is moved to guard and Marcus plays tackle and it ends up fielding a much better offensive line, I don't care. I'm not worried about Titus's development. I'm not worried about all the other things that everybody is putting a ton of stock into. If you can find a top tier guard at a young age, and that's the position that he ends up being better at, then you won either way. If he ends up being an average to above average tackle, okay, great too. Like I'm not putting a ton of like argument into where Titus plays, but as long as the offensive line takes a step forward, that's all I care about.
They took a step forward as soon as they let
Right.
I can't even remember his name now. Who was the offensive line coach?
Devlin.
Devlin, yeah. As soon as they let Devlin go, they're in a much better position. So it's just, yeah, that guy was I don't understand how where's he at now? New York? He got hired by somebody. I want to say it was the Giants.
I honestly, I will never search the name Devlin ever on Google.
I'm going to do it. I'm curious.
Okay, so while you do that, I'll roll through these. If Deshaun plays, how good can Nico Collins be? I think Nico Collins has a lot of potential. I mean, that was my draft crush. That was the only guy I was really worried about targeting in the draft. I think Nico is a special player whose draft stock fell because he didn't play last year, and he has everything you're looking for in a wide receiver. Great route running, tall, long arms. He's exactly what you're looking for. So I think if Deshaun plays, Nico can be great. I think if Tyrod or what's his name? What's the quarterback? Davis Mills plays. I think Nico could be good too. I really don't think Nico Collins' development is going to depend on Deshaun. I think it's just going to be, can we have consistent quarterback play?
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited about Nico though. Did you know the Steelers requested an interview for Mike Devlin to be their offensive line coach?
Interesting. I did not know that.
But he currently does not have a job, which is probably the best for
that would make the most sense
in the league.
Yeah. James, are you watching Loki? I am. I wake up every morning on Wednesday and watch it, and it's phenomenal. We only have 2 more episodes to go. And Paul, I miss you. DJ is at a Dreamville hat on. Already got it. Yeah, actually it is. It actually is. You're welcome.
Jonathan keeps asking if what do you see out of Davis Mills this year? What it might be last name Jones. I might be butchering his first name. It says, what do you might be seeing out of Davis Mills this year?
Look, I'm hard. I love Davis Mills. I'll be the first to say it. I actually believe in the prospect. I believe in the talent. I believe in the quarterback. I know history tells you no reason to believe it. No reason to think he's going to be successful. Everything is stacked against him. The team is stupid for drafting him. Blah, 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 blah. That's fine. I'm going to trust Nick's judgment. I believe Davis actually has what you want out of quarterback over Kyle Trask, over Kellen Mond. I've watched every single snap of Davis Mills. Yes, he has a lot to work on. He hasn't played a lot of football, but the things that he can do and are the things that you want to be able to build on in a quarterback in the NFL, and the other stuff can be taught. So
he's got one of the best quarterback coaches in the game right now.
Yeah, and
help him out.
Right,
so.
Exactly. So with Pep, like I know I'll get murdered if Davis Mills sucks, but and that's fine. I really don't care. But I honestly think Davis Mills is the reason why the Texans really don't give a shit about Deshaun Watson, whether he shows up or doesn't. I think they want to see what the kid's got. I truly believe that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he beats out Tyrod Taylor in camp.
That's the one position I'm watching. Like, out of all of them, that's the one I'm watching the most. That and running backs, because I really want to see Phillip Lindsay start.
I do too. The running backs intrigue me in the sense that, like, when you just look at all of them, like, they all have so many different skill sets and do so many other things well. And when you add to the fact that you have Mark Ingram and David Johnson, who are the elder backs of the group, but the fact that because they're the elder groups, you can use them sparingly, means to me that you can get the most out of David while also still getting the most out of Ingram, while letting Phillip Lindsay do what he needs to do. So when you're splitting carries, like I would never draft a Texans running back on a fantasy football team. I wouldn't draft Lindsay, I wouldn't draft Johnson, and I wouldn't draft Ingram. I think it's going to be the hot hand each week, and that's how I think it'll go.
I mean, that's the best way to play it, right? Like you're not sitting here concerned that you're paying David Johnson $14 million a year. You have to truck him out there for 30 carries a game. You've got 3 very capable guys. Hell, you've even got Rex Burkhead, who's I want to say, man, that's such a that was a weird signing for me. But I get it, just with the familiarity between him and Nick. So, I mean, I think the running back, like I think you mentioned this earlier in the show, that the running back group is definitely better than last year. And they're not going to have a guy putting up 1,500 yards. Maybe they do, but I just think overall they're better.
I agree. This is just another one of those spots that I think people aren't looking at. Like it's so easy to shit on the Texans that you can find any reason. So like when you look at the running backs, you're going to be like, oh, Mark Ingram, what's his age? Oh, David Johnson, what's his age? It's like, okay, yeah. Oh, you guys paid David Johnson $6 million. Like, who cares? Like, why are you guys so worried about the extra $2 million that David Johnson made with us than what he would have made on another team? Like, you're not signing or extending a player because of the $6 million you gave to David Johnson. Like, people just want to find every little thing about this team to just destroy them about. And it's easy to do right now. So I understand. And I'm not saying I think this team's going to be some contender or anything like that, but I want to enjoy watching them play. I don't want to come in here every week and just be like, oh, I can't wait to make game notes and shit on my team for the entire 4 hours I'm recording. Like, it's just dumb. But anyways, all right, let's see. So Deshaun.
Yeah, I don't. While you're doing that, I don't think I hate the dynamic of people complaining about small, minute amounts of money of the salary cap being used on positions of need. When you've got teams out there, like look what Carolina ended up paying McCaffrey, and then he goes down for a season, and they're stuck with that. And to me, complaining about the money, which you have obviously zero influence over, it's just dumb. Like, I think that there's people that are very smart when it comes to managing the salary cap and the contract negotiations and stuff like that, that know what they're doing. So that's one thing I hate. Sorry, small little rant, but I just hate when the topic of money comes up.
Like, okay, when I'll be mad if the David Johnson signing like impacts us is if like Jalen Ramsey is a surprise cut somehow, and he fires David Muguleta, and we have a chance to sign him, but we just can't afford it.
Okay? So like when they could have traded for him and they didn't do it.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's just no reason to be mad about the stupid $2 million. Like, David would have got $4 million a year from any other team that needed a running back. So you're really mad about 6? I don't know. That's nuts.
Yeah,
that's dumb. Nuts. All right. What do you see about that? Saw that. Devlin, no. One more episode. Oh, damn. Really, Paul? Davis Mills.
Here's a question. I have a question for you. Who's the tight end group this year?
I'm still on Team Akins as 1.
Okay.
Pharaoh Brown 2. And Brevin 3 until Brevin earns the snaps. And then I can see Pharaoh taking a step back to 3, and Jordan being 1. The interesting thing about the way that the roster is constructed at this time, and if anybody just goes back and looks, Tyrod Taylor is not a strong-armed quarterback. You're not going to see a lot of downfield stuff. So the tight end could be utilized quite a bit. He used Hunter Henry a decent amount. And I think that's where we'll see the Akins development happen. And I don't think Akins has really gotten a fair shake yet. Like, Deshaun had so many weapons to use. Last year was a down year for everybody, so it really didn't matter. But I think now, you're giving Akins a new quarterback to work with, whether it be Davis or Tyrod. And I think Akins will take that number 1. I do think Brevin has a ton of talent and is probably one of the more exciting rookies to watch. But that tight end position, it just takes so long to develop, and it takes so long to really become a staple in an offense that I don't think you can expect Brevin to do it this year. And I think Farrow has shown, and so is Jordan. And I think they're both complement. So I would go Akins, Farrow, Brevin.
So all the Kahali wearing the polo player crew can hit the road because you don't think he's going to make the roster.
I don't think he'll make the roster. I think he'll be a roster cut down trade. That's my prediction. I think somebody will give us a 6th or a 7th for Kahale. I think Nick has seen enough to know that he's been hurt all the time and hasn't really developed that. And it also wasn't his pick. So I think he'll be a roster cut down trade. I'd watch a team like the New England Patriots or the Jets.
Didn't the Patriots just sign?
They signed like 6.
Yeah, but they signed
Hunter. They signed Hunter. They signed Jonnu.
Yeah, so they're not. There's no way they go for him. Could have to be somebody else. But yeah, I mean, it's possible.
Anything. But anyways, all right. Let's see what else. I saw a clip on Twitter. Quincy Avery. I don't care what fucking Quincy says. He's a fucking idiot. Let's see. Who's your defensive player to watch and offensive player to watch? I'll let you go. You take offense. Who's the offensive player to watch?
I don't want to say Philip Lindsay again because they would just be repetitive. I'm going to say Chris Conley. Just because I feel like he hasn't, I don't know. I just think he can turn it up a little bit at the wide receiver position, and maybe complement Cooks a little bit and kind of show his worth. That's one of the signings that I'm excited about was Conley.
So I've always been a big fan of Chris Conley. It's just interesting. Like when you just look at the dynamic of the NFL, like it's always about where you land for your opportunities. And Conley's never really like been in a position where he has an opportunity to truly show the talent he has. Like when he was with KC, he had Tyreek and he had Sammy. When he was in Jacksonville, he had no quarterback and he was playing opposite of DJ and the other guy. And so it's just like when he's a flyer, he's a great route runner. He's electric when he has the ball in his hands. I think Conley could be a huge surprise on this roster. I agree. Defensive surprise. I don't know if he's a surprise, but like I as everybody knows, like cornerback play is like my favorite thing. I love cornerbacks, and I truly think Desmond King is going to be a game changing defensive back for this team. I just think from his talent, when you look at the position of need in the slot, given what we've seen over the last 3 years, I think Desmond King is exactly what this team needed. And it gives them the opportunity to sign a number 2 long term. And I really hope he holds it down and shows his potential, because his potential's through the roof.
I agree.
All right, let's see what else. We have 14. Jair says Burkhead could replace Howell on special teams role. I would agree. I also think it was more of a veteran type move, like another strong veteran in a locker room full of strong veterans with a very young roster. And I think that has a lot to do with why Burkhead is here. And he was also just a very cheap running back to sign.
I think Buddy Howell's making more than him this year.
He might. Is he?
Yeah, I don't think it's by much, but because Buddy, I think
he's signed for the minimum, right?
Oh.
Let's see. Chris, Texan players taking notes of the disrespect that they're getting. At least 3 players have mentioned hearing the noise. I think Tyrod will be able to muscle out more wins than expected. Fair. Besides what we heard on the outside with Nick, what's the feeling overall outside and in build? Nick, you're going to have to rephrase that because building. What is the feeling overall outside and in the building? From the players that I talk to, and I don't talk to a lot of them all the time, but I do have a couple that I text with regularly, and they're actually all pretty happy about where things are headed. They're blocking out the noise. They think that they have a very competitive roster, and it should be a fun season. I don't know what you've heard from what players you've talked to.
I really have when I do talk to him, it's talking about Call of Duty or whatever we're watching on TV. I have literally talked to him about football almost nothing at all. I don't know
know
why.
Lonnie's excited.
I think I've seen Charles on social media pretty excited. Obviously the guys that are always on it. Trying to think of who else. Justin Reed, pretty excited from what I can gather. I mean, it's just been, I've kept everything pretty casual with him when I'm talking to him. I've been playing a lot of, and I feel bad for the guy, but I've been playing a lot of Warzone with Gary on lately.
Oh,
and
my fucking favorite.
I feel bad for him because he said the other day his leg's still not 100%. So
I'd like finance his salary for a 1-year deal just to see if my boy can get the opportunity, because I've never loved a cornerback the way I've loved Gary and Conley. Yeah. The one jersey I would want is a signed Texans jersey by Gary and Conley. That's the only jersey. That's the only one I want.
I'll text you next time we're going to play. You can play with us.
I would love to. I never play because I suck, but I would hop on. I think he's just so good.
He's good. I'm
sure he is. That's all he does.
He's good. And
he plays a lot.
Yeah. He just started streaming, but that guy can talk. He streams on Twitch now. But he talks trash with the best of them too. He's hilarious.
Interesting. For being such a quiet guy, that's hilarious.
It's weird, right? Like, he's not in the media. He's not tweeting all the time. He posts on Instagram, but he's a fairly quiet dude. But yeah, he will talk trash. So go back and watch his. I'll send you the link to his Twitch, and you can watch some of his streams that he's been on.
Okay.
And he's funny.
Awesome. I will do that. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows I love Gary Conley. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for the questions. Really appreciate it. It was nice to be able to get in here. I was able to do it better than I expected to be able to do it. So I really appreciate the support. Like Pat said, the like button is free. It really makes no sense. Subscribe button is free. Like, you guys could just hit it. Just like hit it. Like a one-night stand. Like, you don't even have to do it again. Like, you don't have to call us in the morning either. Just like hit it and ditch us. Like, it's fine. Hit it and quit it. I guess that's going to be it. Patty, anything else you want to say?
No, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate all the positivity. A lot of you guys have been with myself and with these guys for a really long time, and it means the world. This isn't a full-time job. It's a hobby, and we have all put a lot of passion into it, and we do it for y'all, and we appreciate everything y'all have done for us. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. All right, guys. As far as when I come back, in case you guys are wondering, I don't know. I honestly don't. I think John and Pat are actually going to do such great work. I don't know, but if they ever need me, they know they can shoot me a text, and I will definitely hop on at any time. But with that being said, I'm Young Ari Gold, signing off for Texans Unfiltered. We will catch you guys next week.